If it weren't for its lackluster story and lore additions, MKX would be my absolute or second favorite game in the MK franchise, because it undeniably has the best gameplay the series has ever seen. However, the story in MKX is incredibly flawed, following up the fantastic ending of MK9 with an ending that could have led to a place of promise, only to be made irrelevant with the Hourglass arc of MK11 and MK1. It is clear the NRS writers had no idea where they wanted this franchise to go, which is evidenced by the mixed bag of arcade endings included in this outing. The best suite of MK endings always foreshadow the primary conflict of the following game, something Deadly Alliance is especially good at. MKX, though, falters in this particular respect. You're watching Rayl Deal Games, and in this Rayl Deal Mortal Kombat video, I'll be ranking every Mortal Kombat X character ending from worst to best. The endings towards the beginning here aren't super great, but after we get the unpleasantries out of the way, I'll have a lot of positive things to say about the later endings in this ranking list. With all of that established, let's dive right in. Number 33.
Exhausted by her ordeals, Sonya slipped into a deep sleep and began to dream. Kano held Jax and Cassie hostage. He made Sonya choose who would live and who would die. Seeing no way to free them both, she chose Cassie and screamed as Kano killed Jax before her eyes. Still screaming, she was awoken by Johnny. He had horrific news. Jax was dead by an assassin's bullet.
So far, NRS has not done Sonya super well. MK9's Sonya ending rounded out the bottom of that ranking video, and she lands at the bottom here too. I'm not sure what the writers wanted to allude to here, other than Jax's ending where he does in fact die. Sonya didn't need to be a part of that Jax, Aaron Black pair of endings though, and I would have preferred something that better built up her relationship to Cassie or Johnny than this nothing burger of an ending. Number 32.
Cassie Cage's impressive victory over Shinnok led Raiden to give her a new important task: hunting down a soul stealer. Cassie did not have to be told that the suspect could be a resurrected Shang Tsung. Having tracked him from the site of his last known assault, Cassie confronted the withered old man. He fought desperately but was ultimately defeated. As the old man lay dying before her, Cassie asked his name. With a mixture of sadness and relief, he whispered, "Shujinko."
I love it when new characters are added to the MK cast, but I don't like it in any franchise when newer characters are introduced and instantly dunk on the most powerful characters of the past. MK as a franchise has always been predicated upon the idea that, in a contest of Mortal Kombat, either gods or mortals can win when set against each other. Gods can die at the hands of mortals, and mortals can suffer at the hands of magical or mystical combatants. Because of this, I don't mind when new characters beat the occasional classic character. And I wouldn't mind that Cassie beats Shujinko, except she does so seemingly with ease, which should not be the case. Shujinko is one of the most powerful characters in MK lore, having the power necessary to compete with Onaga one-on-one, so Cassie should not be able to beat him so easily, even if the core conceit of the franchise, where every character can canonically beat any other character, is taken into account. Number 31.
After his incursion into Earthrealm, Kotal Khan had become a prime target of Special Forces surveillance. Jackie Briggs was assigned to monitor his activity. Jackie followed Kotal Khan to an equatorial jungle, where he entered a hidden pyramid. Inside, he retrieved a glowing crystal skull. Jackie attacked the Emperor and raced away with the object. Jackie was praised for her work, but couldn't help thinking her interference was what Kotal Khan had wanted all along.
This is the first ending on this ranking that alludes to a possible future conflict for MK11 that would never exist. I don't know what the Lovecraftian skull thing could have been, but it might have been a cool story idea to have Earthrealm, Netherrealm, and Outworld competing for control of the realms only to have to unite to deal with this threat. Alas, that doesn't happen, and this ending is made immediately worthless with the release of MK11. Number 30.
After Shinnok's fall, the hospitalized Johnny Cage asked Jax to fill in as leader of his squad. Jax agreed. It was a chance to spend time with and protect Jackie. Boarding their transport after a routine mission, Jax's greatest fears were realized as the mercenary Aaron Black sprung from the cargo bay and fired on the young heroes. Fortunately for Jackie and company, Jax's quick reflexes and bulletproof arms deflected the assassin's rounds. Jax quickly subdued Black, then slipped into shock as a red stain engulfed his chest.
This is the first of two endings Sonya's ending alludes to, and it is the weaker of the two. This precognition Sonya and Jax share here is never explained in any game before or after this title, which makes me think the writers were maybe building into a mind-based conflict with MK11, possibly centered around the mystical woman from Jade's MK9 ending. It's hard to say without speaking to the writers who specifically designed this specific set of endings, and I'd love to ask them someday. Number 29.
Alone once more, Ermac searched the labyrinthine corridors of Shao Kahn's old fortress, searching for the source of a faint voice calling to him. Suddenly, a wisp of dust brushed his chest, wrenching free one of his many souls. The dust took the form of a man who began to consume soul after soul. As the weakened Ermac stared helplessly, he recognized the mysterious figure. The sorcerer Shang Tsung, returned from death.
This just doesn't make sense because in this continuity of the story, Ermac doesn't have Shang Tsung's soul. Sindel does. Shao Kahn literally took Shang Tsung's soul and power and gave it to Sindel, which is why she had the power to solo nearly all of Earthrealm's defenders to death in MK9. Now, the writers wrote this ending to tease Shang Tsung's return to the franchise, but they did so in the most nonsensical way possible. Number 28.
Overcome with exertion, Melina collapsed and felt her soul gliding through the ether. She awoke in an incubation chamber. Nearby were countless others, each containing an exact copy of her. Melina found she could read each being's mind and they hers. They quickly realized the benefit of so many fierce warriors sharing one mind. As they plotted revenge on their enemies, the architect of the Melina's awakening laughed quietly.
Many of these endings show just how much the writers were unsure of where the MK story was going to go from here. The architect of Melina's return here would never exist in future games, making this a meaningless inclusion to Melina's character arc. Number 27.
Quan Chi had long been a servant of Shinnok. His role in freeing him from imprisonment had not gone unnoticed by the Elder Gods. Shinnok was no longer a threat, but Quan Chi's actions had given rise to a new power. After much deliberation, the Elder Gods contrived a plan to rebalance this power before it grew further. Free will was burned from Quan Chi's soul and replaced with a single directive. He must kill Raiden.
This ending reminds me of Quan Chi's Armageddon ending a little bit, albeit worse. It does allude to the Dark Raiden arc that seems to be the primary plot MKX's writers were building up to for MK11, which is one positive thing about it at least. Number 26.
Nearly 150 years ago, Aaron Black had been hired by Shang Tsung to assassinate an Earthrealm warrior. In return, Shang had slowed Black's aging process. He could therefore afford to be patient. If an employer wanted someone dead, they would be in time. A team of young Earthrealm warriors had caused Aaron Black's current employer, Kotal Khan, much inconvenience. With the patience of a viper, Black eliminated them all.
This is an okay ending, but I wish the writers would have come up with something cooler for Aaron Black. This helps explain the character's backstory a little bit, but they should have put that in the main campaign somewhere instead, and made his character ending something that adds to that solid base. Number 25.
After Shinnok's defeat, Kung Lao found himself trapped in the Netherrealm, his soul corrupted by Quan Chi's dark magic. There he would have remained but for the aid of his cousin Kung Jin. Together, their Shaolin strength repelled the evil sufficiently enough for Kung Lao to escape that dark realm and control his inner demons. Compromised but not lost, Kung Lao now exists as an agent of vengeance. He will show evil no mercy.
Number 24.
For his role in saving Earthrealm, Kung Jin's family created a statue in his likeness for inclusion in Raiden's revered collection. But Kung Jin's thoughts were with one no longer accepted by his family, Kung Lao. Kung Jin set out to locate his cousin and found him in the Nether Realm. Raiden believed Kung Lao's tortured soul was forever trapped without Quan Chi's magic to free him. But Kung Jin knew the Shaolin were stronger than any sorcerer's spell. He vowed to help Kung Lao fight off the evil that had remade him.
These two Kung family endings are alright. It's unclear how exactly training and meditation would undo Quan Chi's Revenant magic though. I think this idea is based on the classic Scorpion story, where he was a Revenant in full control of himself, meaning the character could learn and grow. However, that iteration of Scorpion existed exclusively because of his rage, and Quan Chi never reanimated him. Kung Lao doesn't have that going for him. Number 23.
After Shinnok's defeat, Reptile was ordered to Earthrealm by Kotal Khan to assess the damage. Such intel could prove useful in future conflicts. Stumbling upon a collapsed cavern, exposed during the crisis, Reptile was shocked to see raptors emerging from within. Unlike the rest of his race, these raptors had never left Earthrealm for the doomed realm of Zaterra, and thus had remained safe and hidden. Alone no more, Reptile vowed to remain with his rediscovered people and reclaim their Earthrealm homeland.
This is possibly the weakest version of the Reptile is reunited with his species archetypal ending for this character. Number 22.
Leatherface had cut down the old man in the strange outfit. Maybe now that he was dead, the pretty yellow-haired gum-chewing girl would notice Leatherface. Putting on his fanciest mask, Leatherface found the army camp where the pretty girl could be found most days. He had to cut through a few guards and more than a few of her friends to get to her, but it was worth it. He pulled out the old man's face, which he'd saved for the girl as a present. The girl didn't want the present, and she wasn't being nice. So Leatherface chopped her into tiny pieces for Drayton to use in his chili. He then took off his mask and set to work on the girl's face. If she wasn't going to be his girlfriend, she could be his in other ways.
Considering the character the writers had to work with, this is a fairly good ending for Leatherface. For fans of the character, I can see why they would like this one, and for haters of Cassie Cage, there's something to love as well. Number 21.
Like Scorpion, Jason Voorhees was a revenant. A vengeful spirit returned to life. Hundreds had fallen victim to his bloodlust. Liu Kang, now ruler of the Netherrealm, took notice. An immortal killer like Jason would be useful in his plans for conquest. He drew Jason into the Netherrealm and offered him an endless bounty of slaughter in return for his allegiance. Jason's simple reply was to destroy Liu Kang.
Jason strangling Liu Kang with his own entrails is fitting for the character, but Jason's ending here doesn't live up to the amazing one Freddy got in MK9. I wish the writers would have treated Jason with the same reverence in this game. Number 20.
With Melina executed, Tanya's dreams of a free Edenia seemed dead as well. She and the other rebels were fugitives from Kotal Khan's justice. Her fellow Edenian, Rayl, had proved a powerful ally and a satisfactory consort, but he had become useless to her. In exchange for leniency, Tanya informed the Khan of Rain's whereabouts. Imprisoned but alive, Tanya's plotting began anew.
It's such a classic Tanya move to sell out her ally for self-gain, making this ending a good fit for the character in question. Number 19.
Grandmaster Sub-Zero knew his Lin Kuei clan would need more than martial arts to stave off future threats to Earthrealm. In the frozen reaches of Outworld, he found the answer. A female frost dragon with a clutch of eggs. With his ability to freeze, Sub-Zero hatched the Dragonlings. They accepted their Lin Kuei masters and their training as combat mounts. With a force of dragon riders, the Lin Kuei's ferocity became legend. None dared risk conflict with Earthrealm.
Game of Thrones was at peak popularity at the time of MKX's release in 2015, and this ending is a not-so-subtle reference to Daenerys Targaryen from that franchise. The frame with Sub-Zero being surrounded by the 3 baby dragons is the major giveaway that that's what the writers were going for. It's a fun reference, and MK has never shied away from referencing other pieces of media, but it is also one of the weaker Sub-Zero endings in the franchise. Number 18.
Kano had always been a survivor. But even he would one day succumb to fate. His ideals of ruthless terror would die with him, unless he could pass on his methods to a new generation. Combat, weapons, high-tech sabotage, torture, all would be part of the curriculum. But before his students could learn his techniques, Kano would beat the weakness out of them. They would understand, or die trying. Kano's first pupil? His own son. Class was now in session.
Kano is a terrible human being, so the brutal abuse on display in this ending fits Kano's character perfectly. It would have been interesting to see Kano's son, and it is possible the writers were setting up his appearance in MK11, which wouldn't actually happen. Number 17.
Standing over Shinnok, Tremor reveled in his power. Much had changed since the Black Dragon's excursion to the Dream Realm. Kano had sent Tremor's team there to retrieve a psych bomb to be used in Kano's theft of Shinnok's amulet. Exposure to that realm had increased Tremor's power and expanded his mind. He would evolve into an Earth Elemental, a demigod whose power would rival that of Raiden and Fujin.
Tremor becoming a godlike elemental is as good an ending for this character as he was likely ever going to get. Just like Scarlet's ending from MK9, this ending tells us enough about the character to make me want to see him in another game. And like Scarlet, he needs that second game to build up his character a bit more. Why he wasn't included in MK11's cast is lost on me. Number 16.
With Shinnok defeated, Takeda and his father set out to find his mother's killer, a member of the Red Dragon clan. Special Forces tech enabled Takeda to locate the clan's base and disguise himself and Kenshi as they infiltrated their ranks. Deep within the mountain stronghold, Takeda discovered an actual dragon, a prisoner of the clan. The creature used its magic to divine the murderer's name, then transport Takeda and Kenshi to a faraway cave. There they discovered a man encased in a stalagmite. The dragon had said this man would also have reason to confront Su Qin's killer. Takeda began to free him.
Number 15.
Having defeated Shinnok, Kenshi joined Takeda on his quest to avenge his mother Su Qin's murder. Their travels took them to a cave where he and Takeda freed a man, Taven, encased in a stalagmite. Kenshi told Taven that his brother, Dagon, was the founder of the Red Dragon Assassin Clan. Dagon had not only murdered Su Qin, but his and Taven's parents as well. Together, Kenshi, Takeda, and Taven lay siege to the Red Dragon base. Dagon fell victim to Kenshi's rage. Su Qin's murder had been avenged.
Taven and Dagon are some of the weaker characters from the first timeline of MK's lore, but I do like the way they are integrated into the Kenshi family endings here. Both Kenshi and Takeda get a resolution to their family trauma drama, which makes this pair of endings alright. Number 14.
Remorse for his role in resurrecting Shinnok weighed heavily upon Scorpion's soul. His desire for vengeance had brought Earthrealm to the brink of destruction. Scorpion offered to perform harakiri to atone for his offense. But Raiden suggested a more productive alternative. Instead of death, Raiden sentenced Scorpion to life. He imbued Scorpion with a small portion of the Jinsei's power, linking him to Earthrealm's essence. Scorpion and his Shirai Ryu clan would protect the Jinsei and Earthrealm forever.
The part of this ending I like the most is the way Scorpion reflects on how he almost caused the downfall of Earthrealm as a result of his rage. This is a good touch of dynamism to Scorpion's character, and I'm a fan. Number 13.
Johnny Cage's life had turned out to be stranger than any science fiction film, but he knew the final scene was approaching. With Raiden's direction, Johnny was able to sail to Shang Tsung's abandoned island fortress, where his adventure had begun, to contemplate his future. Amid the rubble, Johnny found an ancient tome. Its pages revealed that Shang Tsung had unraveled the secret to Edenian long life. Johnny Cage's retirement would have to wait.
Someone at NRS really loves Johnny Cage, and I can't say I entirely hate this. Cage gets the most character development out of any character on the cast between MK9, X, and 11, making him a far better character than he's ever been. The aging of the classic cast always made me wonder if these characters would be phased out of the franchise for future entries, and that may have been the plan at some point in this game's development, since the long life spell makes me suspect they wanted to give Cage specifically a reason for sticking around for future games, despite him getting up there in years. Number 12.
This world called Earth produced many worthy opponents, which made for excellent sport. Some possessed a power previously unknown to the Predator's race, sorcery. The Predator sought to harness this new power for use in his conquests. He analyzed a trophy from a recent battle and eventually discovered its secrets. With the power of sorcery, the Predator was unstoppable and decimated whole worlds single-handedly. He had become the apex predator.
Predator hunting down the MK cast for trophies and the challenge is amazing, and the way they use Shinnok's amulet to become even better hunters is the best ending I could have hoped for from this guest character.
You're one ugly motherfucker.
Number 11.
Having learned that Outworld was now protected by the Mortal Kombat tournament, Bo' Rai Cho returned to defend his homeworld. He was no friend of Kotal Khan, but no realm deserved subjugation. Bo' Rai Cho began training Outworld warriors for the fight to come. With Bo' Rai Cho's fighting skills and leadership, Outworld repelled the Earthrealm aggressors. His former friend Raiden had been denied.
Bo' Rai Cho's big thing is that he helped train Liu Kang in preparation for the MK tournament of the first game, so the inversion of his role after Dark Raiden's rise to power is a great development for this character. Retrospectively, I like Bo' Rai Cho, and I would like to see him return alongside Shujinko in MK13. Number 10.
For many years, Farah and Tor were a symbiotic pair, as is natural with their species. But that bond was broken when Farah came of age and began the Great Transformation. Farah Tor returned to the Tarkatan Wastes, where Farah began her metamorphosis. The process took an agonizing 3 Outworld years, during which time Tor withered and died. Now a brute, Farah will be chosen by a rider. A new symbiotic pairing will be forged, and new battles will be won.
My hot take for MKX is that Farah Tor is not a bad character, and they are actually one of my favorite new additions to the combat cast. The issues with Farah Tor is that their gameplay is incredibly flawed, since they lose a significant portion of their moveset after getting hit once. I used to play this character on ranked back when this game was new, and even though I maintained a 70% or so win rate with the character, there are some matchups that were completely unwinnable, with full auto Jackie being the absolute worst. Even though Farah Tor's character design is pretty cool, and they do have fun combos to string together, the ultimate determining factor whether an MK character is good or not is how they play, and they just don't play that well. I do hope we see this character return for MK13 or 14 down the line, because with a little bit of a redesign, this character could be a great addition to the MK cast. I particularly like the way this ending shows the life cycle for this Outworld species, and I'd like to see Farah show up with a new symbiote whenever this character gets a second chance to impress. Number 9.
After destroying Shinnok, Triborg turned his attention to the Special Forces. General Blade and the others fought valiantly, but their human weaknesses led to their inevitable defeat. Now with access to the SF computer network, Triborg used it to interface with the Lin Kuei storage drives from which he was spawned. He saved the brainwave data of dozens of his Lin Kuei brothers and sisters to the SF servers. The SF laboratories provided the materials necessary for Triborg to create cybernetic bodies for each one. Soon the downloads were complete. The Cyber Lin Kuei had been reformed. But because Sub-Zero had forever sullied the clan's name, Triborg decided to begin anew. He would henceforth be known as the leader of the deadliest clan in all the realms, the Takunin.
I doubt we'll ever see Triborg again, since this character exists as an excuse to fit Sector, Smoke, and Cyrax all into one game. But I do wish Triborg's ending would have mattered for MK11. Triborg starting the Takunin had me hyped that all of the cyborg ninjas, including Cyber Sub-Zero, would return for MK11 by providing a clever workaround for Cyrax being dead and Sub-Zero being returned to his natural human state. I would love to see Cyber Sub show up in MK13 as a part of the Sub-Zero plot espoused in his ending. Number 8.
Kotal Khan returned to Outworld determined to rebuild his forces. But Raiden defeated him in a surprise attack and claimed dominion over Outworld. Desperate, the Emperor called upon the Elder Gods to aid in preserving his sovereignty. They granted his request, invoking the most sacred of contests. Now, once every decade, Kotal Khan must enlist his greatest defenders to face Raiden's challengers in Mortal Kombat.
Kotal Khan is my favorite new character introduced in MKX. I love Aztec art, culture, and history, so when the Aztec were introduced as a race of Aztec-looking Outworlders, I was incredibly hyped to try him out. Fortunately, Kotal Khan is super fun to play, making his appearance in MK11 a no-brainer. I would have preferred if the plot in MK11 followed Kotal Khan's ending here, and I think that's what the writers were trying to set up too. At some point in MK11's development, they shifted away from this idea, and that's possibly one of the worst crimes against the franchise story committed by MK11. This inversion of Outworld and Earthrealm's relationship is amazing, and I would have preferred to see this developed more. Not to mention, this plotline builds in great opportunities to branch into the Onaga arc of the lore and the integration of 3D era characters. Number 7.
Devora's ultimate plan was not to destroy Shinnok, but to enslave him. She implanted larvae, her young, in his body to gestate. Having consumed the godlike power of their immortal host, Devora's offspring were unlike any Kaitin ever born. As they matured, they spread like locusts throughout the realms. Her army of Kaitin super drones brought glory to Devora, their beloved queen, and destruction to all.
Devora siding with Shinnok for this reason makes a lot of sense. A lot of times there's little to no reason for the villains to ever side with someone like Shinnok, and their motivations and rationale for doing so is incredibly flawed, such as why Reptile backed Shinnok in MK4. Number 6.
Kitana found herself walking the streets of a magnificent, shining city. This was Edenia, a realm freed from Outworld, and Kitana was its beautiful queen. This was the timeline unaltered by Raiden. Earthrealm had been destroyed by Shao Kahn, but Kitana had survived Armageddon and united the other realms to destroy him. Long-lasting peace was the result. Kitana awoke from this vision to find herself in the Nether Realm. She was not the queen of Edenia, but a revenant of hell, and she hated Raiden for it.
Whether this vision is true or not is hard to say, but Jade's ghost in the background has me thinking this is really a continuation of Jade's ending from MK9, where she was possessed by an unknown spirit or entity. This could have been a great catalyst for a conflict between Netherrealm and Earthrealm, and NRS really passed up a great opportunity for an awesome political drama for MK11, which is what was being set up here. Imagine if MK11's plot was centered around the political maneuvering of Earthrealm, Netherrealm, Outworld, Chaos Realm, and Sato. It would have been such a better part of the lore than the Hourglass arc, and far, far more ambitious. Number 5.
The Shokan had become outcasts for refusing to aid either side in the Outworld civil war. But with the conflict over, Prince Goro decided to re-enter the political landscape. Kotal Khan's armies were weak from years of battle. Melina's rebels were scattered. It was an easy matter for the Shokan to seize control. The newly crowned Emperor Goro had his rivals exterminated. No Ashtek, Kaitin, Edenian, or Tarkatan would usurp his throne.
Goro taking control of Outworld from Kotal Khan makes sense to me, and this ending makes me more confident that a story laden with political intrigue is where the writers wanted to go initially with MK11. Goro is awesome, and I would have liked to see more Shokan politics, maybe with a power struggle between Goro, Kentaro, and Shiva. That would have been pretty sweet. Number 4.
With Shinnok defeated, Liu Kang explored the Nether Realm, a world that, without Shinnok's controlling power, had descended into chaos. Liu Kang was no sorcerer or elder god, but his fighting skill was more than enough to beat Netherrealm's demons into submission. Liu Kang realized that Netherrealm was his for the taking, and that ruling appealed to him. He would assume Shinnok's throne and ponder the conquering of other realms.
This ending explains how Liu Kang took over the Netherrealm, further adding to the setup for a political thriller in MK13. This is such a stark change to Liu Kang's characterization from the classic era, and I would have loved if this is the direction the writers would have committed to. There's many more nuanced ways the franchise's story could have gone if this is the type of story NRS would have stayed with. Number 3.
After millennia of fending off Earthrealm's enemies, Raiden began to wonder if defense was the best path to peace. In a change of tactics, Raiden and the Shirai Ryu attacked Kotal Khan's armies before they could rebuild. They decimated the Emperor's forces, leaving Outworld at their mercy. The victorious Raiden claimed dominion over Outworld. The first of many threats to Earthrealm had been removed.
At the risk of sounding like a broken record, this is what MK11's main campaign could and should have been. This would have created a great skeleton for the plot of MK11's story, and would have provided the perfect transition into the Deception era of the lore. Number 2.
The alien tore through Shinnok's flesh, reducing him to a bloody pulp. The creature then returned to its nest in Outworld. It continued to venture forth looking for suitable hosts for use in establishing a new hive. The alien found more than a few intriguing species and dragged them back to its lair. Once a queen had been spawned, the alien's new hive multiplied quickly and spread unchecked throughout the realm. Emperor Kotal Khan attempted to save Outworld in a desperate final attack on the alien's main nesting ground. The attack failed. Outworld belonged to the aliens.
1979's Alien is my favorite film of all time, so I'm incredibly biased with my placement of Aliens ending in the number 2 place. The aliens taking over Outworld and the rest of the realms by impregnating every other member of the Kombat cast with the facehuggers is the best possible ending for this character, making this the best guest character ending to exist in the franchise so far. I especially love seeing the Shokan variant of Xenomorph 2. Number 1.
Earthrealm belonged to Shinnok. It became the staging area from which he would finish his war on the Elder Gods, which began eons ago. The Elder Gods had lied to the denizens of the realms. They were not individual beings, but merely parts of a greater collective known as the One Being. Shinnok would merge the realms and awaken him. Whole once more, the One Being devoured the Elder Gods. Shinnok watched with satisfaction. This reality had finally come to an end.
My favorite ending in MKX is Shinnok's. I love seeing what the villains do when they win, and this is a great ending for Shinnok. I actually like this better than Shinnok's original MK4 plan, although I'm not sure how Shinnok keeps himself safe from the One Being now that it's just the two of them in all of existence. I do wonder if Onaga's Scrap Deception ending provided a base of inspiration for this ending, since in that ending he fuses with the One Being, becoming the sole entity in all of reality. This ending does show that Shinnok is weaker than Onaga, since he doesn't have the foresight or power to combine with the One Being in this way. MK11 would add Titans into the mix, and I am curious how Shinnok, the One Being, and Titans would interact with one another now that they're all that exists. Maybe Shinnok planned to do this so that he would be alone with his mother, Kronika, for all of eternity. Shinnok does come across as a mama's boy to me. And that's the video, my guys. What's your favorite MKX ending? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're there, please like, share, and subscribe so as to not miss out on any future Rayl Deal Gaming videos. And if you have a moment right now, consider checking out one of my other videos on the screen. Regardless of what you choose to do, have an awesome day, gamers.